Chib, it's Louise, the big head bookworm. Lovely to see you. Hope you're well. Hope you're having a good day, wherever it is you are and whatever it is you're doing. Hello, it's not a Friday, and yet I am here talking about books. What? I know what's coming to the world when it comes to this. I went to the library earlier this week, and I treated myself to 5 books. I borrowed 5 books. I had a little mooch through the paperback book sale. I don't want to buy too many books at the moment. I have a lot to read. I haven't read any on this shelf. Actually, I've read that one. And I've read 2 on this bookshelf. But the rest I haven't read, so I want to be reading these. But I did fancy the excitement and the little kind of joy of mooching round choosing books. So that's what it is. I'm just going to move that back. There we go. So I'm having difficulty today with the light. I've actually had to stop recording. I've recorded this several times because the light keeps changing. I actually have a light box here to try and balance it out, but then when the light changes from here, the difference, my poor computer's going, no, I can't balance it, and your white hair is just confusing everything. So it's all a bit much for it. I'm also trying not to move so that you don't see the light box reflected in the mirror. Could move the mirror. That might actually be the right thing to do, because then I'd actually be able to move. Because look, I have to keep my head very still. Anyway, what are we talking about? We're talking about the books that you got. So let me show you about the books that I got from the library. So the first one I'm going to show you is this. Having dark books on a dark day as well is not doing good. But let's see if I can show you this. There we are. Joe Hill, Horns. This is not a new book. When did this come out? 2010. So Joe Hill is the son of Stephen King. You know Stephen King. You know Stephen King. You know that. He's written, what, 1 or 2 little well-known books? Been around a while. You may have heard of him. But anyway, this is his son. And he is also an author. I have never read any Joe Hill, and so I don't feel like I can judge whether it's a nepotism in action or if he's actually a good writer. So this is dark fantasy and horror. I like dark fantasy. I like horror. I haven't read any in a while, so I quite fancied it. And I had started a thriller that was a bit horrifying, but I wanted it to be a thriller. Whereas I'm going to this knowing, if it's like Stephen King, I do love me a Stephen King, and I haven't read a good horror Stephen King-esque for ages, so I'm hoping this will tickle that fancy. But not in that kind of way, just hope it in a horrifying way. I know, weird. Let's move away from that whole discussion, because that sounds odd. So yeah, so Joe Hill, Horns, don't really know what it's about. Don't really mind not knowing what it's about. It's about 450 pages, so shouldn't take me too long. I got this, After the Armistice Ball by Katrina McPherson. This is a Dandy Gilver. Gilver it is, isn't it? Gilver. Dandy Gilver mystery. And she is a socialite. And it's a gripping murder mystery set in Scotland in the aftermath in World War I. I had never heard of this book or this author, and it was literally the font. I just thought, Bayek, I like the look of that, let me have a look at it. And it said Armistice, and so I thought, it's a good chance it's going to be set after the First World War, which is right where I like it. And I haven't read a book set in Scotland for a bit, so I should rectify that immediately, so I'm going to give this a go. So McPherson is an exemplary crime writer, effortlessly balancing the driest wit with a melodramatic suspense. I like the sound of that. I've read the prologue, which was only 2 pages long, and yeah, it seemed good. Now, this book, my computer is struggling to pick up the gloriousness of this. Look at those lovely chairs. This is The Knitting Circle by Anne Hood. And the dots are little yarn balls. How cute is that? I saw somebody with, it was a different copy of this. This is a mass market paperback. It's a format book, mass market paperback, so it's a little one. Somebody had a different copy, but it was on Instagram, and they were saying how good it was. And I thought, you know, I really quite fancy quite fancy that. And it says for fans of Dorothy Coomson and Maeve Binchy. I used to love Maeve Binchy. I haven't read any books like that for a long time. And I really quite fancy, mixing up my genres a bit more and just kind of reading out of my comfort zone. And the library's the best bit about that, isn't it? Because you can try things that you don't know whether you're going to like. And if you're 30 pages in and think, God, no, then you can hand it back with nary care. So this is Spinning Yarns, Weaving Tales and Mending Lives. See what they did there. Every Wednesday a group of women gathers at Alice's Sit and Knit, and it's all about, it's a tearjerker, thrills, drama, love, sex and humour. Well, it's got everything. It's describing my life right there. Not quite, but so yes, I'll give that a go. Thought that looked like a nice book to kind of balance out the dark fantasy and horror. Talking about slightly dark books, Witchwood, The Forest Holds Many Secrets by George Mann. And I've not read this. It's a Sunday Times best-selling author, George Mann. And what drew me to it was the crow. There we go. I thought, hello you. I like a bit of crow or raven-inspired fiction. So yes, it's a sleek serial killer mystery in the knotty veins of English folklore. Well, that sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? Perfect blend of crime thriller and supernatural horror. A perfect police procedural flavoured with pagan horror. I mean, all of those make it sound flipping marvellous. They are all quotes from people I have never heard. I've never heard of any of these people. But, yeah, he paints his characters in vivid, unforgettable strokes. That's what I like. So, yeah, so I'm going to give that a go. That's a crimey book. So I've had a good mixture so far, and I thought it needed to be rounded off with a bit of a romance. I have never read any of these. Elizabeth Hoyt, Thief of Shadows. Looks like it could be a bodice ripper. And there's a bodice right there, ready for ripping. When society widow Lady Isabel Beckenhall becomes involved with a home for unfortunate infants and foundling children, she soon clashes with its manager, Winter Makepeace. Brilliant names! Isabel Beckenhall and Winter Makepeace, whom she finds severely monastic, terribly solemn, but quite distractingly intriguing. How cool is that? How would you like to be described as distractingly intriguing? I would quite like that. And Winter does have a secret. Ooh. At night he transforms into the Masked Avenger, the Ghost of St. Giles. This sounds completely silly, and I like it. It's the fourth novel in Elizabeth Hoyt's sensuous New York Times bestselling Georgian Maiden Lane series. So I have heard not a jot about this. I know nothing apart from what I have just read out to you. But it has everything that I could possibly want. It has good names, Winter Makepeace. It has somebody that is distractingly intriguing. And not only that, he turns into a Masked Avenger. Yes, please. You're all going to be wanting to read this, aren't you? If you are into your Georgian romances. And I know what you are. You're into them. So let's have a look. So those are the books that I borrowed from the library. So those are the ones that I'm really not that bothered if I do like or don't like. But I'm intrigued by all of them. I had just dropped something, just fallen behind me, isn't it? I had started to read The Armistice Ball, but I'm actually thinking I might read Horns. That might be my next book. So you'll have to see on Friday if I have actually read it. So the two books that I picked up from the paperback sale, if I put that there, is it going to knock you? A little bit. The first one is this, Conspiracy by S.J. Paris. So this is number 5. I have read Heresy and I've got Prophecy. So there's Sacrilege and Treachery and then Conspiracy. So this is the 5th in the series. So I'm not going to get to it straight away. So I've got Heresy there, actually I've just spotted, and I've got Prophecy there, so I can slip this in beside it if I take off this sticker. Oh, you can see the light box. You can see behind the veil. I'm actually going to have to move, but anyway. Here we go. And I think I might move the mirror. That's the thing to do, isn't it? So the next video you see won't have the mirror there, and I won't be worried about it. So there we are, Conspiracy by S.J. Paris. So these are Heretic turned spy Giordano Bruno. And this is set in Paris, 1585. So yeah, that should be good. Taken off the sticker, looks much better. So I'm going to give that a go. Eventually. So that's a book that is not for now. It's going to be in the next however long. And this, I have heard of the author, Adrian Tchaikovsky, and I have looked at his latest book that has come out, which he doesn't have in here because it's the hardback, but it's a hardback's just come out, and I had a look at it and it sounded quite good. But this is The Tiger and the Wolf, Only the Strong Survive, and I gather it's kind of a fantasy, perhaps old school fantasy, I don't know. In the bleak northern crown of the world, war is coming. But it's a big chunky fantasy. I think it's two clans, the tiger and the wolf, but I think it's got some shape-shifting in there as well. So it sounds interesting. I seem to remember somebody really liked him, and I can't remember who it was, but it was on my radar. As soon as I saw it, I thought, yes, I was going to read that. And so for 50p, I thought that's got to be worth it, really. Last two. This is a book I saw. I don't know where I saw it. I might have even seen another one. He's got another one out called The Corpse in the Cellar. I don't know why I don't know where I saw it and why I got it, but it's called The Country House Murders, a 1930s murder mystery. I mean, that's probably what it was. It's got a rather fabulous cover. It's published by Marylebone House. I'm wondering whether it's self-published. I don't know. Originally published in Australia in 2014 as C.S. Lewis and the Country House Murders. So I think it does feature C.S. Lewis as one of the sleuths, I think. Yes, it does. So that should be quite good. But I don't know why. I must have seen somebody talk about it or mention it or show it. But it's Kel Richards, The Country House Murders. I got it through Amazon Marketplace, and so it was quite reasonable. So I thought I'd give that a go to broaden my 1930s murder mysteries, because I don't read enough of those. And the last book is one that the husband bought. It's called Wild Ruins BC, The Explorer's Guide to Britain's Ancient Sites. So we're members of the National Trust and the English Heritage, and we love going to those wonderful country houses and being part of the kind of the wider focus of what the National Trust does. But wanted to have a look at the more ancient sites, and we've got one or two books that feature that, and this is the same company that published Wild Swimming, which I bought last year, and I really like the fact that it's taking us off the beaten track, out of the main roads, out of the main areas, and so this is to encourage us to venture off across the fields to find some ancient sites amongst Britain. It's beautifully published, and it's got these most gorgeous pictures that just makes you, East Anglia, there you are, that's where I live. It's got the most beautiful pictures that just make you want to go there, makes you want to get out and go exploring, and so this is a book to help us do that, and it is across all of Britain. So yeah. In this ultimate guide for exploring the wildest, most beautiful and lesser-known ancient sites of Britain, you will find the best places for walkers, children and families, pubs and cafes, picnics, breathtaking views, wonderful wildlife, wild and adventurous, and photography. So, yeah, it's got everything in that. So that's a really lovely book. It is by Dave Hamilton, and the publisher are Wild Things. Wild Ruins. So there we go. So that's it. That's it, BookTube. That's what I've got. Not many books. But an interesting selection, and some which I think which will be quite good. So I'm aiming to get to some of the library books over the next couple of weeks, even if I only read a couple of chapters and see whether I like them. And if I don't, then I don't need to worry about it. But just to kind of, try out different things, and I'm sure I will find something that I really like. So there we go, BookTube. I hope you like this. I hope you've enjoyed the book haul, and I look forward to seeing you on Friday for Friday Reads. Bye.